Mainstream Metaphysics with your host, Nick Newmont.
It is 6 o'clock here in Los Angeles. I'm Nick Newmont. Welcome to Mainstream Metaphysics in the studios of Conejo Valley Talk Radio. I am thrilled about tonight's show. Why? They're here. The psychic ladies of the auxiliary are in the house. Oh my goodness. Beside me here in the studio, Inanna. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
From the heat of Lancaster, Mary Elizabeth. And down there in cool Redondo Beach, cool GINA ANN is here.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for coordinating so all of us could be together on the show tonight. I always look forward to doing the shows, but I'm thrilled about tonight's show and what we're doing. And this coming weekend, it's supposed to be really hot, especially Saturday. What do you recommend people do this coming Saturday?
I think there's like this event.
What event?
It's like the July Psychic Fair at the Newmont Center.
Is that right, ladies?
Is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. All us cool kids will be there.
All
Come
the cool
on.
kids.
All the cool kids will be there. Yes, all four of us are doing the panel this coming. Oh, look, Selena, we got a woohoo. Can I get a woohoo?
Woo, woo, let's go.
There we go. Absolutely. Really, really thrilled about this coming Saturday. It's going to be good. This is the first time on the panel of having GINA ANN, who has been on the show before. And GINA ANN, first of all, with you, have you done panels like this before?
I've done panels, but not psychic panels.
Okay, all right. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
And, yes, an author and things of that.
Right.
And a counselor. But not as a psychic. So it's the first time in a panel for psychics, which is fantastic.
Well, it's really cool because we've all done them together in different ways, and how we energetically interact with each other and off of each other. And it just, there's no rehearsal, there's no script. We just kind of go with it. And it's this Saturday at 11 to 2 at the Newmont Center. And if anyone wants to have a reading with one of us afterward, we have a schedule that people can sign up for. Mary Elizabeth, what's on your mind, you and we, as we look at world events? What's happening?
Hello. We are here and we're going to take control in this moment in time because it's very important for people to hear. We ask that you do not worry so incessantly about what will be. We ask that you allow yourself to understand you are exactly where you are meant to be. And in that energy and in that knowledge, there is nothing to fear. There is nothing to worry about, nothing to doubt. Especially when you allow yourself to see you are an amazing human being. And because of the fact that you were created just as you are, there is nothing you cannot do that allows you to be in that space of flow and ease. So allow yourself to just take a moment and breathe. For today is the day you get to choose. And we highly recommend you choose me.
Very good.
Beautiful.
Inanna, why are people just in a spin right now? What is going on?
Well, I will certainly leave astrology to you because that is your area, not mine. But as someone who looks at energy and looks at vertical time and timeline shifts, it is a time where before all of us can hit that next level, right? A lot of people are ready in their own ascension paths to level up. It's time. We've all been waiting on the collective, waiting on those around us, then on our own individual journey. But before we can do that, there has to be this big clearing, like the Kali Ma moment, right? In tarot, it's the Tower card. It's that moment where everything has to get leveled so that we can actually move forward. And I think a lot of people are experiencing the leveling right now. In my own intuitive coaching, I'm seeing a lot of people that are kind of living in their shadows and living in some of their worst moments as they try to find their way out of it, try to find their way to balance and to wholeness after, digging out of the shadows.
Right. Yeah. When we look at last week's show, hi Bridget, thanks for watching. Last week, the whole show with Selena was about, what's bugging me. But I like that going forward, that kind of, GINA ANN, as you look at life, whatever perspective, if you would say, what's bugging you or what's bugging the people around you, what are you seeing?
Well, my observation and being, in service to others, I see the lack of compassion and kindness towards others. There's like a lack of consciousness in our actions or even consequences. If you look around us as what's happening, people are like kind of like zombie-like. And there is this big shift. And if you're feeling hungover kind of or vertigo, this is the opportunity for all of us to, like she said, level up and go to the next level, on this earth school. So what's bugging me right now is a lack of consciousness and consequence of people.
Okay, good. In fact, a couple of my clients pointed out recently that it seems to be that when we have some kind of global disaster, like a 9/11 or other events, maybe not as big, that people behave better, for a little bit, then they revert right back to the way they were. ME, what's bugging you about the world, about society?
I will literally right there with GINA ANN. It's that lack of compassion, that lack of empathy for what others are going through. It's becoming a state of it's all about me and that need to be right, instead of allowing ourselves to hear the opinions of others without judgment. And until we can come to that space of understanding with ourselves that it's okay if somebody disagrees, we can't move forward into the energy of change that is happening with ease.
Right. We're in a time right now where people are, and again, saving all the astrology lingo, we're in a time right now where people are very agitated, which makes them grumpy, presumptive,
Yes.
okay, judgmental, and then jumping to conclusions on things and not communicating clearly how they're feeling in an easy, effective way, holding on to it, and then just blowing like a volcano. You want to?
That.
Okay. Do you want to jump in there?
I actually just put out a TikTok this week about that very thing. I was very fortunate. I just got back from the Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat and was like in such a love bubble. I mean, oh my gosh, just like I'm living my best life and this is love and you're love and I'm love and we're all love and like all of it. And then came back to what we're talking about. And it was like, whoa, it was like this shock of realizing that the love bubble maybe didn't come all the way back to the rest of the world with us. And so when I did that TikTok video, what I was talking about is right now, maybe we have to just let go of the idea that the other person is going to hear us or going to understand us. Because if we're committed, like I'm so committed to making sure that you understand what I'm saying and I get there and I'm speaking my heart and I'm speaking my truth and that other person isn't hearing a word of it, it's devastating, It's gut-wrenching. And so I think for right now, just maybe focus on, being your own safe place and focus on knowing that you know your heart and knowing that that's enough. Because if other people right now can't be there for you because of what's going on in their lives or their trauma or their spiral, you desperately trying to be heard or be understood is only going to be, destructive for you.
Well, a chunk of years ago, Merlin told me that when you're trying to make a point with someone, and it's sort of this clash of opinions. He said, at that point, it's not that important that they get what you're trying to saying. He said, what's more important, do you understand what you're saying?
That.
Okay, so do you know yourself? And so, piggybacking on what Inanna said, I think we have to have clarity on ourselves before we have to try to impose clarity on other people. Otherwise, and in a situation or an opinion, you know, you could be right, but to what point do you need to be right?
Yeah.
Ladies, do you want to weigh in on that need to be right?
I will love to step in on that one. There is, we all would like to be right because it's a way we feel validated for our opinion. But in truth, just because we think we're right doesn't mean we are. And just because our truth applies to us doesn't mean it applies to another.
Yep.
So we have to be willing to see if we want to voice our opinion and voice our point of view. When we get resistance, to allow ourselves to just take a breath and breathe and allow that person to register in the energy and to pay attention to their energy. Because sometimes, no matter how right we may be, another person isn't ready to receive. And I find that in giving messages to clients too. There is a disconnect in what is coming through versus how they're perceiving it.
Right.
So we have to give grace to another that they may not be in the space to hear our words clearly and not take it so personally.
Right.
Exactly that.
Right. Gina Ann, you want to weigh in on that?
Yes, very much so. And I think communication is the key to everything in all relationships and what is right and wrong. Because when we're speaking, we are feeling we're right, and it's the perception, and it's based on our life experiences. So I think listening is more important than being right or communicating. You know, you can communicate your feelings and your thoughts again, but the key is listening.
Surely.
Heart-centered listening.
That's a great segue. So one of the things that I wanted to mention tonight for all of us, because we're all readers, psychics, mediums, how many times have you been doing a reading for someone and it's if your words bounced off the wall and came back and hit you and you went, oh, I needed to hear that too. You're laughing. Come on, Inanna.
No, it happens all the time. I tell people I am my most difficult client. I own it. I'm the problem. And so even though having all these amazing gifts, you know, like I can get so micro focused, you know, and so busy on what I need to do that when there's like two clients in particular that I see that I will be like, oh man, I'm just getting like slapped right now from spirit. I wasn't paying. I was focused on what I was doing. I wasn't listening, and here we go. So absolutely. I think spirit. We can choose. I choose to believe I live in this universe where spirit is always communicating with me. So whether that's number patterns, whether that's astrology, whether that's other individuals, whether that's people just randomly coming up and speaking, or whether that's I'm giving a message channel to someone else and it really just kind of hits home to me.
Good. Ladies, how about you? Messages for someone else that come back to you?
We always says that when a message is given, it's for everyone in the room. So I always pay attention and I always go, okay, I hear ya.
Right.
I hear ya.
Yeah, very
I'm
much
not,
so.
I'm like Inanna. I'm not always good at listening,
Yeah.
but I hear ya.
Yeah. I feel like when you give, you give a reading or you give a message, you receive it as well. And my story really is your story. So I think when we're receiving these messages and we're offering the guidance for them, a lot of times, you want to practice what you preach. But when we're in the emotional thick of things, it's really difficult. And that's why it's important to reach out to others to guide us through it as well.
You know, what's fascinating is that a lot of the people that are going to attend on Saturday, it runs through me, okay, because I sign them up or do whatever. And there's people that will come through the three of you that I don't know. But here's the point I'm going to make, is that some people are contacting saying, I want to have a reading with one of the four of us, but I don't want to come to the panel. And Audrey is, my wife, has been in on this conversation too. And we really feel that people, by not attending the panel, are really missing a lot because of all the messages that will come through with four of us quadrupled, and how much that people miss because the messages are for a lot of people. And we may not be pointing out someone, that's in the audience at the panel, but how many people leave those panels going, oh yeah, when they said this, when they said that. Yeah. And look, people can just sign up privately. That's fine, but they're really missing out.
Yes.
Because one of the things that happens in a panel, and it's happened every time, whether it's been with Mary Elizabeth or other readers, or when I channel with Merlin and Golden Arrow, the energy between all of us becomes exponential.
Yep.
And it plays off of each other. And it just is so huge. So you're getting so much more from the panel because the energy is just moving back and forth between all of us. And I'm going to say hi, Audie, Becca, Karen. Oh, by the way, this woman, Adriana Fravel. One of the announcements as people are starting to come online is if you sign up for the panel tonight and get a hold of me tonight, you'll pay an early bird of $40 instead of $50 at the door. So if you're watching, even if you're not writing a comment, it's tonight. If you get a hold of me tonight, and I'll be up late, it'll be $40 instead of $50 at the door. And by the way, that our friend there, Adriana Fravel, here is the incredible tiramisu candle, and there's only 2 left. Look, at Gina's Italian like me, so I said tiramisu.
I was like, oh.
So this, can you smell it, hun?
Oh, is this for me? No.
I have more.
I can taste
so
it.
you can taste it. Well, you will. So here's the top layer, okay, is chocolate and coffee, and the white part of the candle is vanilla, French vanilla, creme brulee, and limoncello. And it really is like tiramisu. So when you burn the brown part down, the chocolate and coffee kind of blends in, and then you get the creamy vanilla lemon.
It really does smell good enough to eat, just so you, I mean, that smells phenomenal.
When we made them, it was just, the place smelled unbelievable. Anyway. Ladies, we'll do this again at the end of the show, but if people want to get a hold of you to schedule privately with you or after the panel, Inanna, how do people get in touch with you?
So my website is meetmeinthequantum.com. And so you can contact me through my website or INANNADRAPER@gmail.com, or the phone number for texting is on there as well. So meetmeatthequantum.com is my website. Okay,
great. Gina Ann, how do they get a hold of you?
They can text me at my number, which is on my website as well, but my number is 310-617-6215. And my website is GINAAnnAuthor.com.
Wonderful. M.E.?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Absolutely. M.E., how do they get a hold of you? They just think of you and...
The easiest way is to text me, and at 661-524-4544, or they can reach out through my website at divineconnection.me.
Wonderful. Thank you. And we'll redo that toward the end of the show. And also, for me, the best thing to do is call or text me at 818-865-8770. And if you're watching the show tonight, if you have a question of any of us here or a comment, please do. I know, Selena, try not to bite the candle. I know. I did.
Just give it back over here.
Tear it away from Inanna. And by the way, my guest next week is Audie's husband, Brandon Fravel. We're going to talk about how to work out and beat the heat. And in 2 weeks, Justin Formanak, the massage therapist and energy worker at Newmont Center, will be on the show. That's a first-time guest. So a lot of great guests going forward. So when it comes to things bouncing off the wall, and I've been doing readings for people since 1991, there in the 90s for me were a big growth phase. Okay. We got out of, had a career change, a divorce way back when. So I felt like they were throwing snowballs at me. You need to hear this. You need to hear this. You need to hear this. I hear you. Jesus. I hear you. Good Lord. Ladies, do you have any, and I mean funny stories where you were doing a reading for someone and it's one of those things that you would tell at Thanksgiving dinner? Like, let me tell you about the time. Anybody jump in about any kind of story that you have that's true, psychically true, but very entertaining?
I have a crazy one. If it was,
Please.
So, and this was, I wasn't actually in session at the time. I was driving down the interstate, going like 70 miles an hour down the interstate.
In Oklahoma.
In Oklahoma, yeah.
Okay.
And this man's voice and spirit just starts yelling at me, you've got to call now. Like, dude, I don't know you and I'm driving, and if you're not supposed to text and drive, you're probably not supposed to mediumship and drive, right? And so
Been there, done that.
yeah, I'm like, no. And so he just was so insistent, but you have to call now, you have to call now. And so I'm like, oh my gosh. So I find a place to pull over, and just, when we're in channel, we can just go on autopilot. And so I dial this random phone number, don't know who it's to, and I just say, you don't know me, but there's like this guy in spirit telling you don't have to do it, you don't have to do it, you don't have to do it. And so like whatever it is, you don't have to do it. And oh, by the way, my name is Inanna, bye, click. And just left it at that. It was like, I thought, oh my gosh, whoever gets that, please let my number be blocked. Please, spirit, block my number, because that's just insane. Well, as it turned out, it was like a friend of a friend of a friend, and it was her son in spirit. And at that exact moment, she was sitting in the attorney's office in this lawsuit regarding his death, and was like praying, please tell me I don't have to go through with this lawsuit. Please tell me I don't have to. And so he just kind of followed the chain of people till he found a medium that he could find, and give that message to. And we've been friends ever since.
Oh my God.
I know. Just the most random thing ever. And I still don't know how and she's like, when she was interviewed, or someone that was writing a book, she said she didn't know my name or my phone number. There's no way she contacted me at the moment I was in the attorney's office. And I'm like, yeah, that's because her son was just insistent. You got to call now. And it's just one of my craziest, I have lots of crazy stories, but I think that one is probably one of the craziest.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
Ladies, how about you in a reading or where spirit affected you in such a way that it's like you'll always remember it for the rest of your life?
I would say that happens in most readings because they're so unique. But one of the stories that came to mind was simply one day I was in a jewelry store. I was working with a friend and helping her at her jewelry store, and this woman walked in, and I immediately heard, you have to go give her a hug. And I'm like, oh, hell no. I'm not walking up to some random stranger and just throw my arms around her. It's like, tell her I'm here, go give her a hug, go give her a hug. So I walked up to her and said, I'm really sorry, but this is what I do. And I'm hearing this from your dad. I have to give you a hug. And she pulled back and looked at me and was like, my dad's dead. I said, I know, which is why he's talking to me. And he wants me to hug you. And she went, okay. And she looked over at my friend, and they knew each other. So my friend just shook her head, and she let me hug her. Well, she is now my best friend.
Wow.
That's my story of how I met Wanda.
Wow. Wow. That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
That's really good. GINA ANN, how about you?
Well, every day is always a unique and interesting story. But one of them, I had a client, and she came in, and she had never been to a psychic before, ever. And I'm like, great. I love getting the virgins, right? You're going to have an experience. So I just started channeling, and first of all, I said, you're going to get pregnant. And she goes, oh, no. They told me I can't get pregnant. I see children, and I see the inner child in everyone. I'm like, no, you are. And then her mom came in, and I'm like, oh, your mom's here. Wow, she died when you were, fairly young. And I know this is going to sound crazy, but she's eating peach cobbler, and she just starts. That was her favorite dessert, and what she asked for before she died. And then, so a year later, she comes back. She has a little girl. She brings her little girl.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
So,
Well,
so
so
that's a heartfelt story. And I love children. I see children and the inner child. And I saw her as a child. And when her mom came through, her mom was actually in her 30s, like very, very young.
right.
And
That's
eating
really
peach
cool.
cobbler.
That's
I
I love
taste. I
that
think
stuff.
it's Italian. It's food.
Right? Yeah, I use a lot of food analogies too, and analogies like my wife uses the car analogy. I'll use the food analogy.
Yeah.
There's several different stories I could tell, but I'm going to piggyback on the pregnancy thing because this is wild and crazy. So, this woman was referred to me by a good source, and she was obviously very Catholic. So she had her reserve about going to a psychic, and she sits down and she obviously carried a lot of guilt because she was in her early 30s and had an 11-year-old daughter out of wedlock. She's not married to the girl's father and all that. And to the point where the level of guilt was, she said, I think God punished me for having sex on Good Friday. Now, those of you that know me well, know what a joker I am. And having been grown up Catholic, understanding the reference, out of my mouth without thinking about it comes, you just didn't understand what you were supposed to give up for Lent. Having given it up, okay? Well, she looked at me deadpan, all right? And then the smile broke through, all right? So now there's more to this story. So I do the reading for her, and I warned her, especially with her astrology chart, that she needed to be careful because as she got into January, February, the planetary alignment that was coming up was a sure get pregnant, okay? There's moments in the chart that you can look at and go, uh-oh, you better just wear steel clothes.
Right.
So she schedules another appointment. She comes back the following February, and she sits down at my desk, and she says, before you say anything, I just want you to let you know that I'm pregnant. Oh. It's and she looks at me and says, I don't know how I got pregnant. I'm like, wait a minute. She's like, well, I know how I got pregnant. Oh. But then I had to explain some things about, how that happens when you're not being careful. And she didn't know that. But it was one of those things. She didn't even let me say a word. Wow. I just want you to know that I'm pregnant. So, But, the torture of believing that God punishes us for something. If there's no man with a beard, right? But if there was, with everything that goes on in the universe, really, I see you out of the trillions of people that exist in this universe. And I've said to many people, it's like the gods are not up there on Mount Olympus going, we're going to screw with Inanna today. It doesn't work like that. We got to get out of the guilt.
Yes.
I mean, let's talk about guilt. All right, go ahead. You're nodding.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, I was kind of raised in a cult that
right,
was
your story
very, very guilt based. I mean, no matter what you did, you would always fall short of the glory of God, and maybe someday you could suffer enough to be worthy to go into heaven. And so guilt was just programmed into us. And if you weren't feeling guilty, then for the love of God and all things sacred and holy, you were just that ignorant. Because surely there were a lot of things you should be feeling guilty about. And so my own journey was, learning that God is love, right? And that there is this amazing, whether you call this the universe, God, divine intelligence, whatever this energy is in your language, there's only love there for you.
Right.
There's only love there for
right.
you. And,
exactly.
Guilt and shame are programs on the matrix. Remember, energy really only goes two ways, up or down, right? Up or down. Map of consciousnness, up or down. And so if you're getting pulled into guilt or shame, it's definitely pulling you down, out of your power, out of love, out of healing, out of alignment. And so those lower frequencies will pull you into a place where you are stuck, you are unhappy, you're living in imbalances, dysregulation, disease, all of those things. And so guilt and shame are two of the programs that run pretty consistently on this
Sure.
on this planet to keep us, going to systems to look for that, those validations
Sure.
that that give us that through like being absolved of sins, or going some of the religious
Yeah.
things.
Of course. Gina Ann, you and I are raised with Italian moms, okay? Where guilt is employed on a regular basis.
If you do this,
Exactly. Yeah, and I got the wooden spoon. Trust me. I'm not kidding. She did more than cook with the wooden spoon.
exactly.
So, Gina Ann, and either one of you can answer this, jump in. How energetically, physiologically debilitating is guilt? What does it really do to us? You touched on that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel, well, actually, I know it inhibits us from moving forward. Guilt is just a major wall and blockage, and it's in your self-judgment, and it sits in the amygdala part of our brain. So we literally play that program over and over again. It doesn't serve,
Right.
because you
right.
can't get anywhere with it.
Yeah, exactly. But it's amazing how it's used as a tool.
Yeah.
To manipulate.
A weapon.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Emmy, how do you feel about guilt, Emmy?
Well, I grew up Irish Catholic, so
Oh, there we go.
we have two guilt levels here. But guilt simply pulls us away from our truth. It pulls us away from our existence as source energy and pulls us into the energies of others. So each time we go into that space of guilt or allow guilt and shame to be triggered, we are literally disconnecting from ourselves
Wow.
and buying into the energy of others.
Yeah, well said. Well said. When I lived in Pennsylvania, we used to joke regarding Catholicism, because I've got the right people here. We used to say that when it comes to Catholicism, the Italians make all the rules and only the Irish obey them. Let's see.
That's right.
You're going to make me choke
Absolutely.
there.
It's
I
good that
grew
we're
up
able
in
to.
Buffalo, guys, so you might understand.
Yep. It's good that we can joke about that. One of the things that for us in being able to joke and help people feel good is that, and clients have talked about this, and all of us have been on the planet similar time frame. I'm probably the most, but we don't joke enough anymore. We've gotten so serious. I mean, when you think about the days back in the 70s, the stand-up comics and the funny stuff and all the references, and now we are so sterilized, we are so antiseptic that we don't joke enough, and we hear from especially Archangel Raphael that we're supposed to laugh more. There's supposed to be more levity. How do we bring, any of you jump in, how do we bring more levity into the audience?
Play. It's play.
Yeah.
It's all play. It's backed up by science. It's backed up by spirit, by soul. We have to go back to the child in us, the inner child. Play is the ultimate of creativity, imagination, fun. It's not about creating fun. It's about stepping into it. So it's all play. You can have play in all facets of your life. And it's in communication. It's where we go. It's how we are. It's our being. That's how we get back to it. That's how we get back to our true authenticity. We're here on this earth school. We want to elevate our soul. To do that is playing. When you see kids, they jump in a puddle. They don't care unless someone says, "You ruined your shoes." See, that goes back to guilt and shame. So play, for me, play is the key. Play, and of course, love. But love is so expansive. What is love?
When Gina Ann was on my show a couple months ago, she made a reference, didn't realize what she was saying psychically. She was referring to me as a little boy jumping into a mud puddle with new lace-up shoes, leather shoes, and me getting in trouble and the guilt that went with that. That was really good, by the way, that you picked up on that, because boy, did I get it for that. Okay, just jumping in the mud puddle. What was I doing as a 4 or 5-year-old? I was having fun,
That's it.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. We were joking before we came on the air that referencing us ourselves as little kids, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And some of that stuff never makes it on the air, but I think it's okay to do that. Like act like, what are you, 4? Are you 12? Whatever. What age would you like to be, Emmy?
I'd like to be 3.
Why?
Because at 3, I found joy in everything. And I saw absolute possibility. There was nothing in my mind that I could not do. And the interesting thing to me is my daughter was the exact same way at 3. And if you pay attention to 3-year-olds, they are full in the awareness of all knowledge
Right.
that we bring from the universe into this world. Thus, they are not in fear until we teach them to be.
Surely. That's sure. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to bring Gina Ann back in for a second because children are some of her expertise. You know, well, go ahead. I go ahead and chime in before I say what I was going to say, because you're right.
I mean, I don't really see the age. I know, you know, by age 8, we've established kind of like the paradigms of where we want, how we relate to others, because we've already started school. We've seen the family dynamics. By 8, this is where kind of traumas sit in. I feel every age is unique, and children are the epitome of angels of knowledge. We come in with all the answers. It's just when life experiences come in and taint it and influence it.
Well, one of the things
I could be any age right now. You know, I write about a fairy angel. She's JoJo. She's from the galaxy of the wings of children. She's 8 years old. She's about wonder and love and believing in oneself.
That's really cool. Look forward to seeing your materials too. I have gone to your website, by the way.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You know, when I'm teaching the energy work that I do, last week we were talking about what's called etheric stages of growth, with parallel with Erik Erikson's stages of growth that go from birth to death. And one of the things about those stages of growth is that when kids are between 3 and 5, they're still with what we as adults call imaginary playmates, and they're not imaginary playmates. They're still connected to spirits from the other side that they know. But we deprogram that and tell them that's their imagination and they're making it up and that's foolish. And the other thing about that age, that's when kids are starting to tap into what their life purpose is. But what happens is adults, when a boy says, well, I want to be a ballerina, oh, you don't want to do that. And we impose and inflict all that. And we talk them out of what they know, what they're really connected to, which is going to take them to where they, are going to be eventually, as long as they trust themselves enough to follow that path. And I think we're all in agreement that right now, the way at least my generation has done things, the children that are here now and coming are really the key to turning the world around, especially that we're a few years into the Aquarian age now, which is really disruptive, but that's the way it's supposed to be. Go ahead and anybody weigh in on that, on especially kids and changing times.
Well, what I would say there is that, they are the closest to source, right? And until we program it out of them. And children have no trouble believing in magic and miracles and other dimensions, and they have no trouble connecting to all of it. And I always think about one of Louise Hay's audio. And she said, babies will love every single part of themselves, even their poo. Like they literally do not know anything but pure love. And so, they'll all of it. And I think about that when I think about, childlike innocence and how they don't know how to dislike any part of themselves, even down to the poopy diaper, until we teach them.
Right.
And that's really sad, because we need to hold on to that. Every part of me is divine and wonderful. And, I have a video of my daughter when she was about 4, and we were in a store, and there was a big mirror, and she just like broke loose, man. She was just living her best life and dancing and going all wild. And, she was so free. And then as she got older, people started telling her, you shouldn't dance in stores, which we do all the time. I do all the time. I fully admit it. So I'm the person that walking in the grocery store and that, that song, Everybody Dance Now came on.
Right.
Man, I just like put my arm, everybody dance, like that's who I am. And so my kids were those people until, their friends started making fun of them and telling them it wasn't okay and you're not supposed to act that way. It's like, oh man, stay in that place where, yes, you can belt out in the middle of the grocery store, full dance moves. Why not? It's all about, staying connected to the joy. If you want to manifest, you get there fastest through joy, through gratitude and joy.
For me, going into the old days of the department stores, for me, it was the glory of the 3-sided mirror where you could move the wings. And I would look to see how many of me I could see in those mirrors. That was like, that was so much fun. But then what happens is because parents get embarrassed for whatever reason, then you say, stop that, behave. We're in public. What's that have to do with anything, being in public, ladies?
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Parents look at their children and how other people perceive them as a direct reflection of themselves.
Well said.
We don't do it consciously, but because we do, we create the energy of judgment. We literally lay it on our child. We always says that our belief of ourself starts by the age of 3. And that fundamental belief that we carry through for the rest of our life is based on those memories, those interpretations of what our parents have said to us. But 9 times out of 10, when our parents are correcting us, it's from their own perspective of self-criticism. What will people think of me? They'll think I'm a horrible parent.
Wow.
My child's the only one who does this. Instead of embracing the joy of that.
Right.
Absolutely. I was a special education teacher for over 18 years. And you talk about evolved. They're in a whole new realm. They are the closest to source and have so many messages, and yet they're so misunderstood.
Wow. Gina Ann, stay in. What do we need to do with, where the planets are now and all these alignments, especially being in the Aquarian age? What do we need to be doing better with children right now? How
we need
can
to
we
listen
help
to
them?
them, and we need to hear them. Now, we also have to have boundaries and consequences because we've gotten out of hand where children, use your words. Fine, use your words. Look, I came from a family where there's a lot of yelling and hitting. I never touched my children,
Right.
However, we're not listening to our children. We're not allowing them to be who they are and what they are. Now, there's also, like I said, we must have boundaries with them. They're amazing in their messages and what they have to offer. They are the greatest source of us finding joy within ourselves. We all have it in us, though. We don't outgrow it. It's still in us. I think we have to remember that. And when we see children, the smell of them, the touch of them, the laugh of them, when you see a child laugh and having fun, the world disappears. Right. So we need to listen to them and acknowledge them, but also have boundaries with them.
Surely. Well, the children are way more tapped in to things than what we realize. And I remembered a story about one of my daughters when I was a little kid, and I never talked about this in front of my daughters, but when I was little, I know, like between 2 and 3, I called toast Sasa, okay? My daughter, that's going to turn 24 you know who she is, in November, when she was that age, she said she wanted Sasa. Now, where would she, of all things she could call toast, okay? She never knew that. She never heard that. We never talked about it. I have to tell you something. That stopped me in my tracks when she did that. It's like, where did she get that, okay? Well, as psychics, we know where she got it. She pulled it out of the ethers, the same way we read people. all of us here don't need cards or astrology or numerology or reading palms. We all just do what we do.
Yes.
The other day, I had a client in for energy work, and and I'm going through and picking up on things and talking about names of people in her life, which is, I don't try to do predictive work in the energy work, but she's done stuff online with me because she lives out of state. There she is live, and she asked me a couple times, like, how do you know that? Okay. And it's like, well, your energy field's very open and all that. Yeah. And I was telling the story to the class Monday night, and I wanted to go, because I'm freaking psychic. That's how I do that. It's like, how do you think I do that?
I always tell people beginner's luck, first day on the job. Like, how did you know that? Beginner's luck, first day on the job.
Right. I've got a dartboard, and I go, oh, got that one right. Those are the funny things that do happen, that you just go, it causes us to tell stories like this.
Yeah.
It's like, God. So let me see, we still got about 14 minutes left. What do you feel as we go into Saturday, and we're doing a lot of good teases, where do you feel, INANNA, first of all, I know that today's Tuesday and Saturday is Saturday, but where do you feel that you're being directed, like on a global level, to tell people? What do you think the message is that people need to really okay?
Yeah,
So
sovereignty.
Okay.
Sovereignty. Right now we are, like we just said, we're in this, tower moment, this Kali Ma moment, right? We're being cleared out, we're being pushed, we're being expanded, we're being forced to get really uncomfortable so that we can grow, so that we can shift, so that we can become those higher, greater, better versions of ourselves. And as we do that, right, what happens is that we have to learn how to be sovereign, and that is, we're not being a pinball in a pinball machine based on other people's opinions, their emotions, or what the media, what TV, what the newest TV show, or what, the reality stars, or whatever people are telling us to think. We have discernment, and we know, is this true? Is this real? Because I'm standing in my own power. Because if we're not sovereign, then, the consciousness field we're talking about, and circling back, because I did want to, when you were talking earlier about the synergistic effect of all of us together, right? That's going to be huge, because it creates a grid. It's a synergistic effect that creates a grid that allows us to access the quantum field. So even just being in that space, if you're focused on something you want to create in your life, and you're in that space, guess what? You're probably going to create it, because you are being given that extra psychic battery or consciousness battery that's going to allow you that extra power to actually manifest that thing. And so when we're looking at this, what we're looking at is how can we best use our own energy, our own focus, our own intuitive abilities, our own power in a way that benefits us and benefits the world, and not let it be used to create more division, more heartache, more brokenness, because energy only goes up or down. And so at that moment, where are we going, right?
Right.
Where are we going? And so being sovereign, my favorite word of the year is sovereign. If I'm sovereign, then I am disciplined in my emotions, I'm disciplined in my intuition, I'm disciplined in where my thoughts are, and that means I'm disciplined in what I'm creating for myself next.
Right. Very well said. GINA Ann, what do you feel that the message you're getting to tell people?
Well, and Nana, you must be psychic, because you took the words from my mouth. It's like when you were in that space together, just being in that space, the energy of us, even now, the frequency, it's harmonic.
Yes.
It's resonant. Like right now, people are on, we are all sharing that energy. So there's no really cookie cutter. I can't predict what messages, because I won't know until I get in that energy field.
Sure.
And then it will come. So always in love and kindness, always. And loyalty.
Right.
And so when I get in that space, it will just come. There's nothing that I'm thinking, because I won't know what's there. Like just meeting on here. Wow, the energy. I mean, it's really interesting. I'm sitting here, but then I'm looking at all you, the little girl and all of you, and the little boy and you. And it's hard not to read. So sometimes I'll veer off, and I'm like, oh no, get back and focus. So because it's just really amazing. Like I hear music with one, I basically, So when I get there, the message will come. It's always in love and kindness. Always, always, always.
All right.
And play, fun.
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Good. Me, how about you? What are you being inspired
It's
to?
always about connection. That's
Right.
what I'm getting loud and clear. It's about connection and connecting to our truth, but allowing ourselves to connect to the truth of others in kindness and integrity.
Sure. Sure. Uh, stay with Me. I'm going to ask another question now, and this is more in the technical side of our work and the interaction with clients. So, when with a client, and everybody has their own frequency. I mean, times they come in. When, how often should I don't like that word, but should a person get a reading? But when is it too much? Me, we'll stay with you.
Here's an interesting aspect that we would like to answer there.
Oh,
For
good.
each and every individual who sits in front of you, there is a need. And even if it is an addiction, they're truly looking for the attention that it brings. And in your space of integrity, you may see that they are in a space where they cannot receive. So you can bring through an answer, a direction that allows them to see that they do not need that outside influence. And to build them into a space of energy. We always say that those who are in front of us are there for a reason. And our job is to come from a place of kindness and integrity in all things. We would never say to an individual that you are not to be here because you don't need to be. But we will point out if they are not listening. Do you understand what we mean?
Yes.
Because sometimes they don't realize they aren't.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. GINA ANN, how about you with clients and frequency and
I always feel when they feel that they need this guidance, there's no right or wrong. And we can bring up the same subject over and over. However, that bridges in the subject of, they're spiritual imposters. I've had many clients come in and said, oh, I paid $5,000 for this person to align my chakras. So
Yep.
again, integrity, what she said is integrity.
Right.
I base it on an individual, usually one session I said, hey, maybe this will clear in 30 minutes or an hour. That's up to you. But I'm here to guide you when you feel called to come back. I'm always available. It's like seeing them for the first time.
Right.
Always.
Okay. All right. Thank you. How about you, Inanna?
So I guess I need to make I am an intuitive coach, a quantum shifting coach. And so those clients I tend to see, weekly or bi-weekly because we're making big changes. We're doing
Right.
changes with career or with relationship or healing. So that's not quite what I consider psychic work.
Right.
That's more mentorship and coaching. So that's pretty regular. On the psychic or mediumship side, I would say I always let the client choose. And I will say in let's see, it's been 16 years of doing this. I can say with full integrity, I have never once told somebody you have to come back and see me.
Right.
And then
Right.
charge them for a session. If I'm like, I need you to come back, I've always gifted it because I wanted to be in my integrity at all times because of the things we're talking about. People being
Right.
taken advantage of. And also it was illegal in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
So I didn't want to ever risk someone saying, this psychic told me I had to come back and then she charged me this money. If I ever said you have to come back, I gifted it to them because I didn't want to, be a spiritual felon. So, but I think that I let clients choose for psychic mediumship and for healing. I'm here whatever they need, but coaching is definitely if you
Sure.
want to make major life transitions, you have to come in regularly. It doesn't work any other way.
Right. Well,
Oh,
and
agreed.
you said the word choose, and one thing is I'm not going to make choices for people.
Right.
Okay. And that's why after being a psychic for a couple of years, I became a certified hypnotherapist because seeing how people would get stuck,
Yep.
I figured if I became a hypnotherapist, I could help people get to what they wanted
Yep.
instead of telling them Like, and so that's how I use it. And of course, as is hypnotherapy, those are weekly clients. But whether it's getting a reading, or what you do or I do, they still have to do the work. Okay,
Yes.
they still have to do the work, and that's the thing that when we look at people that become psychic junkies, that's when we have to create a boundary and say, okay, you've got all this information. Now take what you have and start to build from there. See what you do. Because when we read people psychically, we're getting into their brain pool and we're throwing pebbles into that brain pool. And it creates a ripple effect, which is a very good ripple effect. But if we're throwing too many pebbles in the pool, then it keeps creating a lot of waves that collide, which for them could create confusion, especially if there's so many different messages with realistic possible opportunities and outcomes. So I like people to, let's see what they do. Let's see where the momentum takes them. And that's just my take on it. But yes, through the years, like Gina said, you hear about these young, like old ladies that have been bilked out of thousands of dollars because they went to one of those storefront gypsies with the neon palm in the window. And it's like, oh man, that's not okay, because compared to 20 years ago, 40 years ago, we have come so far in integrity of who we are and what we do. And we've really, the four of us here, with your integrity, have really, I know you folks, how you've separated yourself from any of those charlatans that are out there that are not of integrity. All right? Yeah. And what's happened is, and this is where I'd like to leave this part, is that because we are in the Aquarian age, society has evolved enough in consciousness that those people know how to choose someone like us and come to us, because they are going to get excellent guidance and information and direction in their life, and they're going to feel good when they leave us, and that is huge. I want people to go out the door with a smile on their face. All right?
Absolutely.
And we're going to see a lot of smiles Saturday. So remember, everyone watching, if you this coming Saturday at the Newmont Center from 11 to 2, the panel, the four of us will be there. You can sign up for private readings afterwards with any of us. They are special prices that day. If you like to attend, and if you get a hold of me tonight, it is $40 instead of $50 at the door. Now, once again, ladies, whether for Saturday or for in your private practice, how do people get a hold of you, Inanna?
Okay, meetmeinthequantum.com or texting 323-330-4454 is the best. Or, I have those socials that will link, so if you can go to the
Sure.
TikTok or the Instagram or that's, I'm showing my age by calling it but those things can all link you to the website, and that can link you to the cell phone number. So it's find me somewhere and just follow the energy trail.
Right. Thank you. Gina Ann, how about you? How do we get a hold of you? Uh-oh.
Just give me a text, 310-617-6215, and I'll put it in the comments. So I'm so looking forward. Thank you so much. You ladies are lovely. Like, it's so nice connecting with you. I can't wait to be in person with you.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. And before we go over to ME so she gives her information, I want to thank the three of you for cross-pollinating the shares in social media and all the sharing that everybody has done. Well done. This is really good. You really feel like a team. ME, how does everyone get in touch with you for a private or a session at the center on Saturday?
Texting is usually the quickest way. Just text me at 661-524-4544 or go to my website at divineconnection.me.
Wonderful. And for more information about Saturday, you can call the office line at the Newmont Center at 865-8770, or here in the Facebook thread, or you can go to, for more information, you can go to newmontcenter.net, Newmont center.net, and my email is nnewmont@gmail.com. We are at the top of the hour, 7 o'clock. What a rapid hour. Ladies, thank you so much for being and coordinating to do this tonight. I'm so thrilled that we were able to do this. And, hugs to you, virtual hugs to the two of you. We'll hug for real on Saturday morning. Give yourself plenty of time to get there. And we're going to have a good time. I don't know about the audience, but I know the four of us are going to have a wonderful time.
We're going to have the best time, and you guys can come join us.
Too.
Yep, exactly.
The party is starting now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Everybody dance now.
Yeah, it's like a Mediterranean wedding. It's going to go on for like 5 days, right?
That's right.
All right, ladies, we have to say good night. We're running out of time.
Thank you.
To the audience, thank you. Tune in next week, the next couple weeks, for my guests. And remember, everyone, as always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. I'll see you next week. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.
This is Mainstream Metaphysics with your host, Nick